everybody. Welcome to Texas REIAs. I'm Shenoah Grove. I'm the founder and president of Texas REIAs. I've got a live audience here with me, so thank you guys for being part of our live audience. I know you did not sign up for that, but excited to have you guys here. I might even have some of you all volunteer to share with me a little bit about what you're working on to see how we can help you in your business. And excited to be here and excited to be part of your journey as a real estate investor. So I want to give you a little bit of information about what we do here at Texas REIAs and what that looks like and how you all can take part of what we do. So we always say we are Texans teaching Texans how to invest in Texas using strategies that actually work in Texas. How many of you guys have been to a out-of-state guru traveling roadshow sort of a presentation and like they didn't really actually live here, work here, invest here? So what I find is a lot of people will get started with those types of folks and then kind of get a little upset or burnt out and basically look for something different to do in real estate or get information from other folks. So what we do as part of Texas REIAs, we like to think of ourselves as your local resource for knowledge, deals, funding, advice, partnering, coaching, all the things that you really need as part of your success plan for as a real estate investor. So excited to be here with you, and every Tuesday and Thursday we get together and talk about real estate investing. We meet all over Texas because we invest all over Texas. So Austin, Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio. So excited to be with you guys all here tonight. For those of you guys who are watching us online, feel free to join us. Just head over to TexasREIAs, REIAs.com/live, and you can check out our schedule, see where we're at, and join us at a future meeting. So we've had over the past over 10 years, more than 80,000 people come in as vendors, as guests, as members, as sponsors, and love to get together to share all of the tribal knowledge that we've built up as real estate investors. We also want to make sure you guys are following us and tracking us on some of our social channels. So that looks like Facebook, Texas REIAs, Instagram, Texas REIAs. We have 2 YouTube channels, actually, one for Texas REIAs and one for Houses Flipping People. Houses Flipping People is a little different because it's actually the story of the Texas REIAs members. So what we do is we basically interview successful real estate investors that got their start here at Texas REIAs and showcase their success, how they were able to get started, find deals, and some of the most recent deals that they've been doing and how they're crushing it in real estate. So love to get together with the members of the association to help them on their journey, and so that they can be more effective as real estate investors. So the market is always changing. You've got to be able to keep up with that. I remember recently there was a post on the Texas REIAs Facebook page that was talking about quick claim deeds. What do you guys in here think about quick claim deeds? What do you guys know about quick claim deeds? It's hard to say. It's not clean. So Sammy says it's not clean. So basically you're saying it's not clean title, right? So effectively a quick claim deed will say who owns the property, right? But it does not allow, and the cleanliness of it, if you will, means that it does not allow for someone who has that deed, right, that deed type, to be able to resell it to someone else, at least not with title insurance. And title insurance is what most buyers want to have when they're buying a property, and it's what most lenders require when they're loaning to a borrower on a property. So from that aspect, yes, not clean at all, right? So there's some issues with it. There's a hair on your deal. Now, that all changed, I guess now we're coming up on about 9 months ago. So 9 months ago, if the quitclaim deed is filed, I want to say it was September the 1st, 2021. I know we're in 2022 now. And after 4 years of that quitclaim deed being filed, now you can actually get title insurance on that quitclaim deed. So that's kind of a new thing that just came up in Texas, because previously quitclaim deed didn't mean anything to a title company. So those are the type of kind of tribal knowledge secrets that we like to share with the members of our association, so they are sure not to make mistakes. I've talked to several different new members who have moved here from other states and have made the mistake of using what works in those other states, trying to use it in Texas. So I actually had someone come down, I want to say that they were like from Michigan or something, and tried to use the quitclaim deed in order to not buy a property, but to be able to resell that property. And they were having a little bit of trouble with that. But for them, you know, quitclaim deed was easy. It worked in Michigan, right? But they didn't know it did not work here in Texas. So that's why it's so important to learn from people who are also living and working in Texas, to make sure that you know exactly what it is that you're doing. And make sure you're not making any mistakes. So guys, I know some of you are taking pictures of the slides. Feel free to take a picture of my slides. We also have all of the recordings of our of our live meetings. We started recording them via Zoom and putting them on our YouTube channel. And if you want to get just to kind of hear some of the other tribal knowledge items, please check out our YouTube channel. You'll be able to get a lot of that. In fact, as we go through the presentation today, we'll go through a lot of that tribal knowledge. One of the slides that is up right now is probably one of my favorites, and I'm actually going to roll it back here in the presentation just so you guys can see it from the beginning. And here we go. So want to make sure before we all leave here today, I know some of you guys are experienced, but also know some of you guys might be brand new at this. So I want to make sure that you are aware of what we call the real estate investor maximum allowable offer formula. So we use something called the MAO formula. It's typically 70% of the ARV, which stands for after repair value, minus the repairs that are needed to bring that property up to that after repair value. So for example, if you have an ARV that's 200 and your repairs are 40, 200 times 70% is 140. 140 minus the 40 in repairs means that you'll offer $100,000. Now, typically you'll make somewhere between 10 to 15% of your ARV. And some people think, well, why am I not making 30% of my ARV? Because that's the discount that I asked for in the purchase. And on this slide, for those of you guys who are watching us in person and online, for my podcast people, I apologize, you'll have to go over to YouTube to watch this. But for my podcast folks, I've got a couple of examples here. So I've got a $300,000 example, which is in a very typical house here in the Texas market, right? So if your ARV, for example, is 300, your repairs are 60, 300,000 times 70% is 210. 210 minus the $60,000 needed in repairs means your offer is 150,000, right? So why is it that you're only making at the end of the day about $32,000? And I'll go ahead and roll that back just so I can go through this one in a fair amount of detail for those of you guys that are here with us. The reason why you're only making 10% of the ARV in terms of your repairs instead of 30%, which is what the discount that you offered, is because it gets eaten up. It gets eaten up in closing costs. It gets eaten up in holding costs, so your cost of money, property taxes, etc. And then it gets eaten up in your resale closing costs because you're going to be hiring a realtor, you're going to be paying title insurance again. You might be paying an FHA buyer's closing cost. You might have either buyer or lender required repairs, or probably more likely you'll have what I call surprise repairs, right? So my renovation project came in on time and on budget, said no one ever. So even if you don't have, for example, $9,000 for an FHA buyer, you probably have $9,000 in extra renovation expenses. That's pretty typical to go, for some people to go somewhere between 10 and 15% over budget, especially in the market that we're in right now that is so tight on both labor as well as so tight on materials.
Would you like to be a real estate investor in Texas? Come to one of our free local meetings to get access to free training, wholesale properties, capital, and power teams. Click on the link below to find a meeting near you and register for free.
So we also, as part of Texas REIAs, invest in commercial property. How many of you guys are interested in residential to get started? Residential to get started, okay. How many of you guys are interested in commercial properties to get started? Okay, a couple of you guys are in commercial properties to get started. So I've got a little bit of information, a little bit of tribal knowledge on understanding the cap rate when it comes to commercial properties and understanding how to evaluate those. So we went through the calculation when it comes to evaluating single family homes, right? Or less than 4 or less units. But there's a different rate when you typically get above 5 units. And that's really understanding the cap rate, net operating income, as well as obviously having the, trying to figure out, using that to figure out the current market value. So one of the ways that we as real estate investors are successful in buying many of these properties is we are trying to do some type of what we'll call a value play on many of our multifamily investments. So we might buy a Class D and turn it to a Class C, or buy a Class C and turn it to a Class B by making some type of improvements to the property. And then by doing that, we'll be increasing our net income, our net operating income, pardon me, which is all of the rents that we're bringing in minus our operating expenses. Right now, cap rates, and I've got the cap rates listed for Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. In fact, these may even be lower than this slide shows. Austin at 4%, Dallas and Houston at 5%, San Antonio at 6%. I think for a lot of the Class A, just about all of the major areas in Texas right now are hovering close to about 4%. So the slide that I have up right now, guys, is what we call our real estate investor blueprint. So this slide goes over the 272 different things that we've learned about real estate over the last almost 2 decades that we have been investing in real estate. How many of you guys might want a copy of this blueprint? Okay, yeah. I'll tell you what, I'll figure out a way to be able to make that happen for you tonight. So we brought some with us, and when you print it out, because I know this is an eye chart, my husband always accuses me of putting up these eye charts, and as my eyes are getting worse, I totally agree with him. So what we've done is, because we know, and I think it's adorable that you're taking a picture of it, but you won't be able to see it no matter how much you zoom in. But I'll tell you what we'll do. So we printed some out, and we printed them out at 3 foot by 2 foot, so that it's actually readable. So you'll like that one a lot better. So we'll talk to you guys about how you can get registered to be part of Texas REIAs, as well as how you can get a blueprint and one that you can actually read as a bonus. But part of that blueprint, the blueprint goes through 6 different sections. So we specifically talk about the marketing, right, that you need to be able to do your deal or be able to get a lead so you can even look at a deal. We also talk about the different strategies that we use. So for us, we've been able to survive and thrive no matter what the market has thrown at us. So what does that mean? So we've invested through a dot-com bust. That was when we first got started in investing. We've invested through the credit boom, the credit bust, the Great Recession that felt like it never went away. And now, as a bonus to our 20 years, we've even invested through worldwide pandemics. Yeah. So we've been successful no matter what the market has thrown at us, and one of the things that we want to teach you guys is how to use different strategies based on where we are in the market in order to be successful as a real estate investor. We also talk about the sales and negotiation. How many of you guys feel like you are a pro at sales and negotiation? Okay, a couple of you. Okay, a couple of you. So we also talk about some of the different negotiating strategies that we use based on the purchase strategies. We have a close for the right brainers, we have a close for the left brainers, and we use a lot of the closes from Chris Voss. Does anybody know who that is? Chris Voss? What book did he write? Never Split the Difference. Never split the difference. Yeah, so Phil Jones, Exactly What to Say, and Chase Hughes, The 6-Minute X-Ray. So we're always improving our sales skills over here because the market's always changing. So we'll, that blueprint goes through some of those things. It also goes through probably I don't know if I want to call it my favorite part, but probably the part that's most important, which is the part that ensures that I don't lose money as a real estate investor. So that's the analysis and due diligence section, right? So it goes through evaluating deals and putting them through a little bit of pressure testing. For us, when we are looking at a deal, we always use best case, worst case, and most likely case. what we find is that most new investors, right, so probably many of you guys who are sitting here, only use one case scenario. And what case scenario do you think that is? That's the interactive part, guys. I can literally hear you breathing. Like, you know, what case scenario is it do you think you use? The best case. It's always the best case. It's always the highest ARV. It's always the lowest repairs. It's always the shortest time on market. Because why? Because this is my first time. So of course nothing's going to go wrong. Of course, you know, I'm not going to find any surprises in the project because I've never done this before. Of course, my contractor is going to be fantastic with me, right? Because he knows this is my first deal. So he's really going to take extra special care of me. And of course, I'm going to sell it for higher than anyone in this entire neighborhood has ever sold it. And I'm going to get the renovation done faster than anyone else has ever gotten it done. So what I like to temper new investors with who are looking at just the best case scenario is not just the best, but also the worst and the most likely case to make sure that we do this right. And then the final part of the blueprint is going through the operations part of the business. So I know my left brainers, they've got this totally covered. What does that look like? That looks like they already have all of their LLCs together. They already have the bank accounts together. They've built the trust. They've built the websites. But what's the one thing that they're not doing? Sales. The marketing and sales. Yeah, that's exactly right. So it's kind of hard to be successful no matter how perfect your business is, the operation side of your business, if you have not gotten the marketing going, right? So I want to make sure that we spend a lot of time focusing on that. And guys, I'm super curious, how many of you all in here are currently working on a deal? How many of you guys are currently working on a deal? How many of you guys are currently working on a deal? Okay. How many of you guys feel stuck in your real estate investing journey? All right. Would you mind volunteering to allow me to help you through getting unstuck? Is that okay? If you'll go over to that microphone right there, then and we'll get you on camera, and this will be a whole thing. So what's your name? Asia.
Yep.
Asia, I checked you in. I should know this. Now I remember. It's all kicking in. It's all somewhere back in there. So Asia, tell me what you've been doing so far on your real estate investing journey. And if you wouldn't mind, speak super close to the mic so people can hear you. Oh, yeah, there you go.
So I've just been looking up like foreclosure leads, faking I've been driving for dollars.
Where are you looking at foreclosure leads at?
BCAD.
BCAD?
And, I'm sorry, not BCAD, the public search.
Public search?
Yes.
Okay, using what?
I just look for the pre-foreclosures.
So are you going to the county like a public records site?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a better way for Asia? Is there a better way for Asia?
Let me go back to your slide.
List, right? So I might consider FLS Online. I might consider realestateIQ.co. They've done all of the work for you, so that you're not spending hours and hours and hours looking online for yourself. Now, obviously, they charge a fee to be able to access their records, but wouldn't that be much easier? Then what could you spend your time doing? Instead of just looking up all these records, you could maybe be calling, door knocking, mailing, right? So I might try that going forward. One of the things that I've found is I've seen some people use some of these what I'll call national list providers, right? Some of these national list providers. The issue is that in many cases their data is 1 to 2 months behind. Now, in a market like Florida, where it takes about 2 years to foreclose on somebody, being 1 to 2 months behind is a pain, right? So you're not getting the what I would call an early or an accurate list. But if you are in Texas and the list is 1 to 2 months behind, which I see a lot for some of these national companies, then what could have happened between the time that you get the list and the time that you go and knock on the door?
It's been worked through.
It's been foreclosed on already, right? It's been foreclosed on already. So be careful to get more of Texas-based list providers. Otherwise, you're going to be doing what a lot of new investors do, which is what I call playing pin the tail on the donkey, right? With a blindfold on after someone's turned you around 18 times, right? It's like, good luck with that. So that was the list part. So that's the first part. Here's what I loved about what you said. You're actually, pulling information. Now, have you done anything with that information yet?
I door knock every day.
You door knock every day. You drive for dollars every day.
I call homeowners like every other day.
And you call homeowners every other day. Do you like this? I love this. I'm stoked about this. Tell me why you feel like you're stuck.
I haven't seen any progress.
You haven't seen any progress. Are people, how does the discussion go between you and the homeowner?
That's the part I need to work on.
Okay.
I need to work on my verbiage and how to communicate with them.
Yes,
Because
yeah.
I just walk up to them like, hey, I saw that your house is on pre-foreclosure. Do you want to sell it?
Yeah. And how does that work out?
Door slam.
Door slam.
No, it's taken care of.
No, it's taken care of. No, it's taken care of. Where do you go from there?
Just follow up.
Where do you go when you're on site from there?
What do you mean?
What do you say to them while you're in front of them?
That's what I tell them.
Let me just follow up with you.
I have a business card and a flyer as well, so
Yeah.
I tell them if they need help in the future, just contact me.
I would dig in.
Okay.
And I would ask, and this is a Chris Voss technique from Never Split the Difference, so I'd recommend you get that on Audible so you can listen to it while you're driving around, because it's great on Audible. I recommend you get the book too, but he identifies this concept called tactical empathy. He identifies some concepts like mirroring and labeling. So when you're mirroring, you can say, taken care of. You're mirroring the last few things that they say, right? So what happens when you mirror? What are they going to say?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're going to explain what they've done, right? Now that they've explained that, and usually a lot of times I've gotten a loan mod, right? So I'm doing a loan mod. I'm sure you've heard that one before, right? And right now people are starting to be at the end of their COVID 24-month period too. So now they're hoping on getting that loan mod. But what do we know about loan mods? And the question to ask them is, well, tell me what you know about loan mods. Tell me what you know about how loan mods work, right? Because how do loan mods work? That's kind of an oxymoron because they don't work, okay? Probably 10 to 15% actually make it to the finish line, right? And then what typically happens after it makes it to the finish line and you get that loan mod approved? About 80% miss their first payment on the loan modification. So what does that mean?
Back into foreclosure.
They're back into foreclosure. So do they might need to know that?
Yeah.
Do they might need to know, wow, loan mod, have you ever Googled loan mod nightmares? There's about 16 million different articles about people who have had a nightmare as a result of a loan mod. And typically what that looks like is you're getting ready, you think you're about to get approved for the loan mod. What do they tell you? What's one of the first things that they tell you when they're trying to get you ready for a loan mod? Stop making payments. Stop making payments. And then when they tell you that you're not approved for a loan mod, when do they typically tell you? About 21 days before they're taking you to auction. So now you're in a position where you cannot catch up, right? Because you've been told, don't make payments. It looks good. You're looking good. How sure are you, this is what you need to ask them, how sure are you that you've got this loan modification approved? How sure are you that you've got it taken care of? What does got it taken care of mean, right? So mirror back, taken care of. How help me understand that.
Okay.
So, and then typically what you're going to hear, and I want you to be socially, emotionally, awareness. So I want you to look for some of the cues, right? What are some of the cues when somebody really does not have something taken care of? Someone said scratch. Fidgeting. It could be all sorts of different things. So that's why I want you guys to, your third book on your assignment is the book called The 6-Minute X-Ray. So it identifies about 100 different ways that people change their behavior when they're being deceptive. Isn't that important to know? It was called the 6-Minute X-Ray. It's written by the author Chase Hughes. Okay, so you know they're being deceptive. Now what do you say? Seems like, now we're labeling, this is a Chris Voss technique. It seems like you're not 100% sure that this is going to go through. Silence.
That may work.
Okay? And you can see where their eyes are going. You can see where their eyes, part of the 6-minute X-ray is knowing where they go to retrieve information. Do they go to the left or do they go to the right? And then when you ask them, it seems like you're labeling that you're not 100% sure that the solution's going to go through. Watch which way they look. Okay?
What's the difference?
It's going to tell you if they're looking, if something that they're telling you is truthful and they're trying to recall data from the past, and everyone has a different, what they call eye home. Okay, everyone has a different eye home. So if their eye home to retrieve data is to the left, and then when you ask them like, are you sure about this? And they start to look right, what do you know? It's deception. It's deception, right? So now that you know we're in a deception, are you going to say, you're a blanking liar?
Yes.
I don't think you're going to get very far if that happens. What do you say when you know that there's deception?
I don't know.
Label it. You've already labeled it. Seems like you're not 100% confident about this. You may label it and say, and you could use an incorrect label. Like, it seems like you feel confident and that you're going to be able to sleep well tonight knowing that you've got this really taken care of. Is that an incorrect label? Probably. And if they start to open up, then you might ask them this. Listen, it sounds like you might have it taken care of. I don't know about you, but for me, I don't like to leave where I'm going to be sleeping tomorrow to chance. You seem like the type of person that wants to plan ahead. You seem like the type of person that's probably thinking 6 chess moves ahead already. And what are they going to say when you say that? Yeah. Confidence is contagious. So now you're giving them a little bit of confidence, right? Mm-hmm. Normally in this situation, people have 3 choices, right? Continue down the path and bury their heads in the sand, which, listen, if you're not making your own plan, somebody else is making it for you, and I can pretty much guarantee you're not going to like that plan, right? Other people who want to make sure that they're taken care of, find someone, this is NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, point at yourself when you say, find someone to take care of them for when their plan A doesn't work out. Here's how I can be your backup plan. You see this progression? Yeah? So what is her backup plan? How does she help them through a backup plan? Here's what I like to say. Let's sign a contract that you're only obligated to if your plan A does not work out. Risk-free to you. Because here's what's going to happen. The third option is that about 4 days before you go to a foreclosure, you realize your plan A is not going to work out. Now you're in a position where you're scrambling. Scramblers aren't able to sell their house in time. Scramblers think, oh, I can get this done, at the very last minute. The truth is, you got to take it to a title company. How long does it take to go through all the title process? days. The title company really wants a couple of weeks to be able to get this going, right? So now we're behind the 8 ball on that. And now I also have to go and get a payoff on your home. And how long does that take? When you're behind, they want several days and up to a week to be able to get that. So when you call me at the last moment, I'm just not going to be able to help you. But if we go with this risk-free option to you, with me, right now, then you'll be able to protect yourself if your plan A does not work out. Does that give you a couple of more words?
Yes.
Are you glad that we're recording it so you can watch it on YouTube
Absolutely.
later? Okay, good. Because I think I laid a few gems for you that I think are going to be very helpful. So, any questions about anything I just went through? Or
No, you probably just boosted my real estate career a little
okay,
bit.
boosted your real estate career. That's awesome. I love to do that. And I hope I boosted some confidence too. Because confidence is contagious. If you show up in confidence, you're more likely to be able to get that deal going, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So Asia, and a round of applause for Asia for, yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. And all right, guys, I think I'm going to go ahead and pull up my next presentation where we get to go through the market update and several other things, including a few more pieces of